Good evening. You're watching the main news on HKIBC. I'm Sarah Wong. Here's a look at tonight's top stories. Top Chinese official gives further interpretations of President Xi Jinping's speech in Hong Kong. The city's consumer watchdog warns against bad cooking oil. And a report in the U.S. says police in Texas took a lackadaisical approach when dealing with a school shooting in May. A top Chinese official has called on the new administration to be practical and focus on addressing the city's most urgent issues. Xia Baolong also warned anti-China forces that Beijing will leave no cracks when clamping down on those who try to destabilize Hong Kong and Macau. Chloe Feng reports.
Roughly 2 weeks after he graced Hong Kong with his presence, a seminar was hosted in Beijing this morning to further elaborate President Xi Jinping's 25th handover anniversary speech. Xia Baolong, director of the State Council's Hong Kong and Macau Affairs Office, said President Xi's 4 expectations for the new government provided strong and practical guidance. The list includes improving governance, strengthening development, solving deep-rooted livelihood issues, and ensuring social harmony. Xia urged Zhang Li's administration to adopt a governance style that effectively responds to people's needs and focuses on providing solutions that alleviate problems faced by the people.
中央全面管制权是特别行政区高度自治权的源头。
The senior official also said the SAR's high degree of autonomy should be on the basis of the central government's overall jurisdiction. And Beijing will spare no effort in maintaining Hong Kong's unique position and advantages, fulfilling the proper meaning of one country, two systems.
习近平主席在讲话中用了充分尊重。
Xia said the president used terms like fully respect and firmly safeguard when describing the SAR's autonomy, which carries weight. He also stressed once again that only patriots can run the country's special administrative regions, and that all Hong Kong and Macau comrades should stay vigilant against anti-China forces.
坚决与美西方外部势力作斗争。
External forces in the United States and the West will not subside and might counterattack at any time, he told other officials. He vowed the central government will resolutely clamp down on those forces, leaving no cracks. Chloe Feng, HKIBC.
Local officials attended the Beijing seminar remotely this morning from the Convention and Exhibition Center. Chief Executive John Lee said Xia's speech meant that the central government will guide Hong Kong and ensure the city enjoys the same advantages as the rest of the country. Joanna Ho reports.
Chief Executive John Lee was accompanied by his principal officials when he virtually attended the seminar from Wan Chai today. The contingent included Financial Secretary Paul Chan, Education Chief Christine Choi, Secretary for Home and Youth Affairs Alice Mack, and Housing Secretary Winnie Ho. Former Chief Executive Carrie Lam also showed up, casting doubt over a rumor that she and her husband had been spotted at London's Heathrow Airport. After the seminar, Lee met the press. He referenced a part of Xia's speech in which he said the SAR's high degree of autonomy is based on the central government's overall jurisdiction.
民生上邊，我哋絕對係可以係行使我哋嘅高度自治。
He explained that Beijing has direct power in matters of national defense and diplomacy, but Hong Kong officials are given the right to deal with social issues such as the local economy and housing problems. Lee said the central government will guide Hong Kong on certain issues to ensure both the country and the city share the same advantages. Meanwhile, Chinese Association of Hong Kong and Macau Studies Vice President Lau Siu-kai believes Xia's speech indicates he knows Hong Kong may still be suppressed by Western countries. Lau said the central government will ask officials in the SAR to fight against foreign powers with force. Basic Law Committee Vice Chairwoman Maria Tam, who echoed Lao, also stressed the importance of patriots administering Hong Kong. She said that can be ensured by the implementation of the national security law and the improved electoral system. Joanna Ho, HKIBC.
Rush hour traffic was disrupted when two cars collided at Tate King Tunnel this afternoon. A private car, which authorities believe had failed to slow down, crashed into a Tesla while on the Sha-Tin-bound fast lane at around 5 p.m. The Tesla driver was trapped before getting rescued and later died in hospital. The fast lane was sealed off, and motorists could only use the slow lane. Hong Kong registered another 3,436 COVID cases today, including 254 imported ones. There were also 3 new deaths. Schools across the city reported 888 infections, 200 of which were added today. 8 of them will need to suspend specific classes for a week. St. Catherine's International Kindergarten added 7 more students to its school bus cluster. Officials say there may have been transmissions between 2 classes.
The PM session has had cumulatively 9 cases. Subsequently, today we note that in the AM session of that bus, there are also 4 students affected. There may be some transmission. That's why we advise precautionary suspension of class for the 2 specified classes. The school has suspended the bus operation from that company on first reporting of the outbreak among the school buses. Hopefully, this will help to curb the spread among the classes.
The city's consumer watchdog has found over 90% of the cooking oils it tested contained harmful substances. Over half were detected with genotoxic carcinogens. Joanna Ho has more.
When it comes to cooking, oil is an essential ingredient for most recipes. The Consumer Council, however, has warned that many brands of cooking oils available on the market could pose a health risk. The watchdog tested 50 samples of edible oils to find 94% contained harmful contaminants. Almost 60% were also found to have genotoxic carcinogens, glycidol and benzoapyrene. Of the 29 samples detected with glycidol, 2 exceeded the maximum level set out by EU standards. They include the pure peanut oil product by popular brand European King, which was found to have double the amount of glycidol than the European limit. 2 other samples, meanwhile, were detected with benzoapyrene, including Yuanjia's 100% pure corn oil. Meanwhile, a chemical compound known as 3-MCPD was discovered in 30 samples. The compound can affect kidney functions, the male reproductive system, the central nervous system when consumed excessively. Plasticizers were also detected in 35 samples, with 1 exceeding the Center for Food Safety's action level and the EU's upper limit. Among all the tested samples, only these 3 were found with no contaminants. Council Chief Executive Gilly Wong urged consumers to make reference to their reports when shopping for cooking oils.
If you are just solely rely on your nutrition label or through your just eye check, that's impossible to detect. That could only be detected through test in the laboratory.
The council also suggested home cooks should use non-stick pans to reduce the usage of oils. Joanna Ho, HKIBC.
Overseas, an investigation in the United States has found officers in Uvalde failed to prioritize victims when responding to a mass shooting at an elementary school. The report said an overall lackadaisical approach, along with multiple safety failures, left 19 children and 2 teachers dead in a small Texan town. There was fresh outrage in the city of Uvalde after systematic failures were reported in the police response to a mass shooting at the Robb Elementary School in May. State lawmakers found that nearly 400 officers from multiple law enforcement agencies had failed to prioritize the lives of victims. Egregious poor decision-making led scores of fully geared officers to linger outside classrooms for almost an hour, while the 18-year-old gunman went on with his rampage.
He said they were not chickens. Sir? They weren't. They were cowards, not chickens. Cowards. Okay. Or jackrabbits, because they were running the other way. They were running away from the building.
Uvalde Mayor Don McLaughlin said it's not clear which department was responsible for the flawed command on the day of the shooting. The State House Committee also pointed out failures in the school's safety mechanism. The shooter's upbringing and social media were also brought into question.
My biggest fear is that we will look for simple solutions to these complex answers. I think some of the same systems that we found here that failed that day are across the entire state and country. And I do not want to say because of one thing or one person here, it could not happen elsewhere. I think that's a disservice and not the respectful thing to do.
The massacre in Uvalde was one of multiple mass shootings earlier this year that prompted Congress to finally pass a bipartisan gun reform bill last month. It aims to strengthen background checks and mental health programs. But activists say it is not enough and continue to press leaders to do more, including placing a total ban on assault weapons. At least 3 people were killed and 2 others were injured after a gunman targeted a shopping mall in the U.S. state of Indiana.
It appears that he had a rifle with several magazines of ammunition, entered the food court and began shooting. The real hero of the day is the citizen that was lawfully carrying a firearm in that food court and was able to stop this shooter almost as soon as he began.
The suspect was killed by a 22-year-old man who was legally carrying a firearm at the time of the shooting. But the local community now joins a string of others trying to recover from gun violence. The United States has seen 350 mass shootings so far this year, some of which took place at schools and grocery stores. China's top regulators have stepped up efforts to defuse a growing consumer boycott of mortgage payments. Banks are now being urged to increase lending to developers so they can complete unfinished housing projects. The number of constructions waiting to be finished have now climbed to 230 across the country, aggravating the nation's real estate crisis. The China Banking and Insurance Regulatory Commission issued guidelines yesterday, which included telling banks to shoulder the social responsibility of expediting the delivery of homes to buyers. It also urged banks to support developers' mergers and acquisitions and improve communication with home buyers to protect their legal rights. Hong Kong's stock market rebounded sharply today after mainland authorities issued more guidelines on solving the country's real estate crisis. The benchmark closed with a 2.7% gain. Mainland property stocks were one of the biggest winners, with KWG property shooting up over 10%. Country Garden also saw an over 6% rise. Banking stocks also followed the rising momentum, with increases ranging between 2 to 4%. The Hang Seng Tech Index also rebounded to a 3% increase, with Meituan soaring by nearly 6%. Now let's take a look at the markets. The Hang Seng Index closed up 548 points. Top 10 active stocks: track of one up 52 cents, Tencent up $7.60, and Meituan up $10.50. BYD Company down 40 cents, AIA up $1.75, and Wuxi Biologics up 35 cents. Floors trading against Hong Kong dollar. Euro is at 7.95, British pound at 9.39, and Australian dollar at 5.36. Over to the UK market, FTSE 100 is up 85 points. On to the weather now, remaining very hot tomorrow, but there could be isolated showers. Temperatures range between 29 and 33 degrees. More of the same in the coming days. Now let's take a look at the weather around the world. That's our main news for Monday night. Join us for more news at 11. I'm Sarah Wong. Thanks for watching. Good night.